Hello and welcome. So we've got this Wem AX100, if you remember. We had this in part one, had a bit of a look at it, and we ordered some parts for it because it's frying breakfast. So we are going to recap and check out all of this preamps section on here. If you remember, it just folded out. So we're going to crack it open and we're just going to go through this and cap it super quickly, and you can hear it cooking away merrily. Also the pots, some of the pots aren't particularly great on it, they need cleaning. It was this channel, the first channel, that was really noisy as opposed to the second one. So we're going to have a look, but we're going to do the lot because obviously these caps and components are getting tired, and so it just makes sense to do it all while we've got it in bits. Right, let's crack the front off, and you see Pink's here to see us as we and you know that face, if you watch my channel enough, you know that face means it's treats time. So to get rid of Pink, first thing before we get the front off is to get Pink some treats. Right, we've got the front panel out, you can see, and we just look at the back. So what we're going to do is have a look at this and how we go about taking this apart. And first thing is, we've got to get these knobs off. And just as another point, these knobs actually aren't original. These aren't the original knobs for this amp, and I know that because I bought some of these knobs before for one or two of my projects. So these have just got grub screws, and we just undo them like that. Now it's also a good idea to have a box to put all your bits in. So we've got this, I know I use these tea boxes because I drink loads of that Red Bush tea. Let me just put those in there like so. There's me catching the camera again. Oh dear, did you really need to put that on so tight? My days. Now notice I've actually got a towel on here, and the reason for that is that when we're working on when we tip the board upside down and we're actually working on the wow, why would you tighten that up? Sorry, digressing again. When we're working on this board, we don't want to be scratching it on the work surface, although it has got some marks on it already, but that's beside the point. We don't want to put any more on it. Right, so we need to get these nuts off. Managed to get that knob off. It was a bit of a pain, but we did it. So this is 9/16 that we've got for these, and just whip these off quickly. And most of these will come off by hand without having any hello, what's that? Oh, look at that. How bizarre. The actual can look in on that. The thread on the pot, look, has parted ways from the shaft. Look at that. And I took that off. That were only hand tight as well. So I wonder if someone's over tightened that. And then of course when I've loosened it, it's just broken off. And that's one of the reasons why I don't use brute force on these pots. There's a typical example there. We stumbled across that, but it just destroys them. So when this is why, you know, if it comes loose with this socket on its own, then they'll tighten up with that socket on its own, and that's enough. There's no need to put a ratchet in this and start leaning on them. There we go. Just pull the camera back a bit, so that I'll probably stop knocking it then. And say those I'll just tighten those up with the socket on its own, and that'll be fine. They don't need that amount of tightening. So I don't know what we're going to do with that pot now. That's a bit of a problem, because that won't go back now, and that pot's had it. So there we go, that's just come out. We just have to be careful because it's still attached. So it looks like we've got to put a new pot in, thanks to the gentleman that over tightened that for that one. So we need to find a socket for these now, because we're going to take those out. The reason is because they're attached on, and I could unsolder them from there, and we've also got, but then you've got this one here, and then you're messing about. It's just easier just to undo them, I think, and they'll all just come off together and go on together. The only thing we have got to do is this ground here. You can see we've got a ground. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, yeah, I did notice that wasn't original. And it's the dreaded electrical tape again. What is this mess then? Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Now I'm sorry, that's got to go. That is a right mess. As you can see in there, it's, I don't even know what that is, you know, wrapped around there. It's like some tin that's been wrapped round, but there's no threads on it, and if there's no threads on it, it has to go, because that's just not safe. Not in my book anyway. Some people may think different, but so you can see how that comes out. These, by the way, just unplug. There's one there, and the other one, where's the other one? Here's there. So these they're just a plug and socket, and that just gets the board straight away from the amp. Right, let's get these sockets out. They're loose. I think they're loose anyway. One of them's loose. That one's loose. That's actually the slave out. There, I'm just gonna cut that ground. For the time being, and we'll look at possibly making a better job of that. Right, let's see if these are loose. They're all loose. That one's a replacement by the look of it, or if it is, it was replaced a long time ago. Yeah, that's a replacement. Definitely. There we go, that's took those out. So the board's nearly free now. So you can see all these electrolytics are being changed, all of them. And these are the parts that will be going in it. We've got about 4 of those. There might even be some more in the house. Can't remember how many with that. I'm going to take these off as well before they get lost. So these fibre washers, it's always good to take them off. Although they're sitting on there quite nicely, it's always best to take them off, because if you lose them, you can't get the sockets tight. You see them there. You see me. There's usually quite a few there stacked on these type of sockets. That one doesn't want to come off, but you can bet they'll want to come off when you're working on it, and suddenly you'll realise that they're missing. They're a bit of a pain, those are. Actually, what I could have done was just put the inserts back in, which is what I've done on that one without thinking. And that one, but there you go. That's when you're talking and filming at the same time and always thinking the same. Now, one of the things it's a good idea to do with when you're doing these caps is, some PC boards have it marked, but this one obviously hasn't because it's an older one, is just go round before you start and just put a tiny little dot with a marker like this and mark out the positive on each one. And that, if you do that way, if you being a bit of a plank like I am sometimes and not looking what you're doing when you take it out, you're covered, which is positive, and that saves you having to get the meter out and trace the ground back, which is what I end up doing sometimes, because phone will ring or something as I'm taking one out. We've all done it. There we go, and that's just marked those like that, just so we know. Just makes life easier, that's all, and saves time. If you suddenly think, oh, which way did I take that out, and you've got the meter out and then you testing to the ground, you usually find the ground on the board. If you get lost, you can see, such as around these pots here, this outer trace is the ground, so you would have to just test it back to that, but you bust out the meter. But that's a simpler way of doing it, just easy, takes a minute. Right, let's get some of these old caps out. Right, there's all the casualties that's been taken out, so I'm going to get this thing put back together, and we just test it, make sure everything works. Right, I've got all this board finished now, so I run it up when I've done the caps, and we've still got a bit of frying. So I swapped a couple of transistors on this board, and that seems to have got us sorted out. So we're ready to put this back together now and give it a listen. However, there is just one problem on this amp. Well, two really. One is we don't have a pilot light, that's on order. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some heat shrink over those till that comes, and then it'll be easy enough just to add that pilot light. It's just a matter of cleaning up this glue that we've got on here and installing that. But the other problem is there's no ground on this front plate. No ground, no chassis ground, and there should be. So I'm going to fit one. Right, I've got this ground on there now, and see it's fastened on here, cleaned off. Clean that up so we get a good connection. Same on the bottom, we've got a star washer as well, just to make sure that stays tight. We've got a star washer nut already on that one there, you can see. Right, we've got this Wem AX100 up on the 4x12, and we're going to give it a bit of a listen. So we're in this first channel. I think these channels are identical anyway, so there's not been no difference between them. Try the neck pickup. Rusty and cold hands. So there we are, a bit of a listen. I mean, it is what it is. It's a bit just a simple amp really, but we've managed to make something of it. It's not been a brilliant video, this one, has it? But we do have to put a few solid state amps on now and again. There is people that like them and, you know, have a bit of a passion for these. So if you're one of those people, then hope you've enjoyed it. So that'll do it for this one. So thanks for watching. You all take care, and I'll see you all